should be a very, very interesting live as we await Trump and his live press conference as we go into the tariff talk. Right now, crypto has been in kind of an up and down kind of thing. It's a volatile time, but you know, I don't want to get too over one way or the other. I want to see how this plays out. You got a few things like DGB up almost 6%. You've got H bar up a couple percent. XRP is only up about 0.75%. Bitcoin's up almost 2%. Ethereum's pretty flat, but there's a little bit of green in here. Bitcoin dominance just continues to rise, which is never, it's not exactly what we want. I think it's killing us right now. Just how fast Bitcoin dominance is continuing to come back up. It looks like we're going to melt up and phase out that wick and tap that. So, I mean, that's like 64.29% roughly, but I'll be interested to see how this plays out because they did have a nice little push up here earlier in the day. And then everything kind of faltered a little bit back down, but nothing's really changed here today. We're still awaiting on what happens with the tariffs. There was a lot of, I think, positive media printed today. And I don't know if that was to try to spark the markets a little bit. You know, misrepresent what might happen, or maybe there's something we don't know, a variable. But they've been coming out saying like how all these other countries are going to, you know, fight back on Trump's tariffs and they're not going to do anything themselves, which is what they should do because they're not having to pay it. You know, their citizens don't have to eat that tax. We do. So this is going to be, this will equate, if he does do this 20%, it'll equate to the largest tax cut. I mean, tax hike in the history of our country. And until they cut rates, we're going to have a few month overlap where we're actually paying 20% more if he does do this on goods, and we're still going to be paying the same tax bracket. So we're getting nickeled and dimed and siphoned off. So it's going to, there's not a lot of money that could be driving into risk assets if that's the case. But I still don't think that this market's done yet. And in the grand scheme, I don't think it's over yet. There's just, we pay attention to the bearish side because if it falls off, we won't be caught off guard. But I still have my XRP. You know, I'm invested in XRP. So I'm willing to see this out right now. And, you know, I want to see what happens here today. I want to see if it's all bullshit or if it's going to be something more. I mean, we are due for some kind of pump at some point. Sometimes, though, like when there's a lot of fear, they end up dropping the bottom out. And then we start tapping some levels that most people would be like, that I am not doing this no more. I don't think necessarily, like, I don't think we've hit that bottom barrier yet as far as the extreme fear could go. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of fear right now, but there's also, I don't know, it's strange. I can't explain it. But as much fear as there is as much as I hear the crowd talk about how, you know, Bitcoin's the new thing and with the strategic reserve, it's just, it's a weird time. It almost reminds me of 2021 when there was such a crowd that just couldn't believe that it was about to fall off or that we had fallen and slipped back into a bear market and things like that. And then there's the other crowd that never cared. It was down at 10, but then we had a pump out. And it put it back up near 40 or whatever. It ended up 36 or 34. Trump's on at 4. He's supposed to be on at 4. I'm trying to wait it out here.
His most aggressive tariff, richly valued, come down so fast. It's just too good.
Because I really don't want to listen to what they're saying. But yeah, we're just waiting for that. Earlier today, I was like, oh man, we're pumping before it even talks. I don't necessarily like the signs of this. I never like when it pumps going into something. I like when it's red and then somebody starts talking. So right now, I don't know because it's been pretty neutral. It's been pretty neutral. Bitcoin's definitely pushing into that. Let's try to break out of this very big resistance area finally. So we're at that point right now, which is very, very interesting. It was interesting how we also dumped down around 11:30 last night, 12 a.m. And we came down to 81,250, which is, that can be taken as a very bullish signal for the start of the day. We just got to see if we break out. Generally, you'll break out 70% of the move. And if we start from like right here, where it went like this, Because you can't really start here because we're not going from all the way back here. But, I mean, you could. I don't want to look at it like this because I just don't think that's a proper representation. So we're trying to see where Bitcoin, if it can break out of here. If it was trying to get through this part, it would probably break out somewhere over here. But that doesn't mean it can't break out and roll around. And then there's so many things that can happen here. But we need to see if Bitcoin can take control here for one friggin' second. Because every time it feels like we're about to take control, what ends up happening? So I want to see it I want to see how the market start to take control here. Would be nice. Exactly. Exactly, George. If we can get over $2.29, I'll be very happy with XRP. That's a big resistance point. Big resistance point. Oh, here comes Trump. So I'll stop talking. I appreciate everybody who's tuning in. Make sure to hit that like button and share this, please, so everybody can see.
People. Well, we have some very, very good news today, and a lot of good things are happening for our country.
Real quick, good evening. 4:07 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. And I'll turn on closed caption for anybody who can't hear as well.
Please sit down. My fellow Americans, this is Liberation Day.
This looks horrible.
Waiting for a long time. April 2nd, 2025 will forever be remembered as the day American industry was reborn, the day America's destiny was reclaimed, and the day that we began to make America wealthy again. We're going to make it wealthy, good and wealthy. For decades, our country has been looted, pillaged, raped, and plundered by nations near and far, both friend and foe alike. American steel workers, auto workers, farmers, and skilled craftsmen, we have a lot of them here with us today. They really suffered gravely. They watched in anguish as foreign leaders have stolen our jobs, foreign cheaters have ransacked our factories, and foreign scavengers have torn apart our once beautiful American dream. We had an American dream that you don't hear so much about. You did 4 years ago, and you are now, but you don't too often, and for many years and decades even, you didn't hear too much about. Our country and its taxpayers have been ripped off for more than 50 years, but it is not going to happen anymore. It's not going to happen. In a few moments, I will sign a historic executive order instituting reciprocal tariffs on countries throughout the world. Reciprocal, that means they do it to us and we do it to them. Very simple, can't get any simpler than that. This is one of the most important days, in my opinion, in American history. It's our declaration of economic independence. For years, hardworking American citizens were forced to sit on the sidelines as other nations got rich and powerful, much of it at our expense. But now it's our turn to prosper, and in so doing, use trillions and trillions of dollars to reduce our taxes and pay down our national debt, and it'll all happen very quickly. With today's action, we are finally going to be able to make America great again, greater than ever before. Jobs and factories will come roaring back into our country, and you see it happening already. We will supercharge our domestic industrial base. We will pry open foreign markets and break down foreign trade barriers. And ultimately, more production at home will mean stronger competition and lower prices for consumers. This will be indeed the golden age of America. It's coming back. We're going to come back very strongly. We're pleased to be joined on this momentous occasion by Vice President J.D. Vance. J.D., thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Where are you, J.D.? No, that wasn't too hard to find. I was looking, he likes to take a low-key attitude, so usually we sit right in front. He's gaining a lot of confidence, Mike, isn't it? And Nearly my entire cabinet is here, as well as Speaker Mike Johnson, who's done an amazing job.
Right when he announced reciprocal tariffs, that happened.
And with the great success we had last night in Florida, we have a majority of 7. And 7's like a lot when we had it at 1, right? You've done a fantastic job. And many of the members of the House and Senate are with us. Senators, congressmen, thank you all for being with us. We appreciate it. For decades, the United States slashed our trade barriers on other countries, while those nations placed massive tariffs on our products and created outrageous non-monetary barriers to decimate our industries. And in many cases, the non-monetary barriers were worse than the monetary ones. They manipulated their currencies, subsidized their exports, stole our intellectual property, imposed exorbitant VAT taxes to disadvantage our products, adopted unfair rules and technical standards, and created filthier rules and technical standards, and created filthy pollution havens. They were absolutely filthy, but they always came to us and they said, we're violating, we should pay for it. It's all detailed in a very big report by the U.S. Trade Representative on foreign trade barriers. And I'll just hold it up for you. It's available, and you don't have to pay too much. As I understand it, you'll pay nothing. It's a lot of work for something, actually, because it's a special book. It's frankly, it's very upsetting when you read it, when you see what people have been doing to us for 30 years. This all happened with no response from the United States of America, none whatsoever. But those days are over. Let me offer just a few examples of the vicious attacks our workers have faced for so many years. The United States charges other countries only a 2.4 tariff on motorcycles. Meanwhile, Thailand and others are charging much higher prices, like 60%. India charges 70%. Vietnam charges 75%, and others are even higher than that. Likewise,
Good. So their citizens pay for it. Who? What the fuck do I care?
Charged a 2.5.
Who gives a fuck?
Think of that.
I don't want to pay for it now because they're making
on foreign-made automobiles. The European Union charges us more than 10% tariffs, and they have 20% VATs, much, much higher. India charges 70%, and perhaps worst of all are the non-monetary restrictions imposed by South Korea, Japan, and very many other nations. As a result of these colossal trade barriers, 81% of the cars in South Korea are made in South Korea. 94% of the cars in Japan are made in Japan. Toyota sells 1 million foreign-made automobiles into the United States, and General Motors sells almost
keep going.
none. Ford sells
Keep
very
going.
little. None of our companies are allowed to go into other countries. And I say that, friend and foe. And in many cases, the friend is worse than the foe in terms of trade. But such horrendous imbalances have devastated our industrial base and put our national security at risk. I don't blame these other countries at all for this calamity. I blame former presidents and past leaders who weren't doing their job. They let it happen, and they let it happen to an extent that nobody can even believe. That's why, effective at midnight, we will impose a 25% tariff on all foreign-made automobiles. Thank you. Brian, I'd like to have you...
That means if you buy a car from another country now, if we're importing a car from somewhere, it's going to cost us 25% more to buy that vehicle. So like how Julie wanted a Kia, that car is going to cost 25% more now if we ever buy another one.
Come up here for a second, okay? I just see him sitting. He's been a fan of ours, and he understands this business a lot better than the economists, a lot better than anybody. Brian, say a few words, please, would you?
Oh, God, we need this to pump now. For our sake, we need this to just pump the fuck out now. We're going to need it. We need some funds here. We need it to pump.
Known as the home of the Reagan Democrats. My first vote for president was for Ronald Reagan. I thought that was going to be the best president I ever saw in my lifetime until Donald J. Trump came along. I have watched my entire life, I have watched plant after plant after plant in Detroit and in the Metro Detroit area close. There are now plants sitting idle. There are now plants that are underutilized, and Donald Trump's policies are going to bring product back into those underutilized plants. There's going to be new investment. There's going to be new plants built, and the UAW members, and I brought 20 of them with me. They're sitting right over here. We support Donald Trump's policies on tariffs 100%. So, Mr. President, we can't thank you enough. And in 6 months or a year, we're going to begin to see the benefits. I can't wait to see what's happening 3 or 4 years down the road. Thank you, Mr. President.
What a great guy. He got it right from the beginning. He got it.
I have a very, very strange feeling right now. I just hope to God right now that this just pumps out. I'm going to play this again, but this needs to pump out for more reasons than you guys even understand. We need XRP to break $2.29. But like immediately, we need to have this stuff start happening. Like we cannot afford for this to reverse while he's talking. I'm just telling you right now, with what's just been laid out, this just needs to start pumping and no turning back. Like let's root for that pump now because it has to happen. Like it just has to happen. We're not even going to look at the bearish side because it just has to go up. It has to go up.
For almost anybody else, this group over there, they got it too. And, you know, we won the state of Michigan. We won almost all of them, but we won Michigan by a lot. And I want to just thank you all. The auto workers were fantastic. The Teamsters were fantastic. Everyone was pretty good, I will tell you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. You're going to be very happy very soon. And you probably see what's happening with all of the, not only car companies, but car companies in particular. You see it with all of the ones they're moving, they're announcing day in, day out. You're seeing it. Nobody's ever seen anything like that. With today's actions, we're also standing up for our great farmers and ranchers who are brutalized by nations all over the world. Brutalized. Canada, by the way, imposes a
Oh God, just please pump. Don't come back. Just keep going.
Tariff on many of
just
our
keep
dairy
going.
products. They do the first.
Just keep going. We just don't even turn around. Just keep fucking going.
First little carton of milk at a very low price.
Everybody, we cannot afford for this to reverse now. We just need to go now.
So when they're figuring,
there's no other choice. It just has to go.
2%, 3%. But take a look at what happens down the road. When you look a little bit, it's not a pretty picture, and we don't like it, and it's not fair. It's not fair to our farmers. It's not fair to our country. And with countries like Canada, you know, we subsidize a lot of countries and keep them going.
I don't even know how many of you realize what just happened just now.
$300 billion a year. In the case of Canada, it's close to $200 billion a year. And I say, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? I mean, at what point do we say you got to work for yourselves, and you got to, this is why we have the big deficits. This is why we have that amount of debt that's been placed on our heads over the last number of years, and we're really not taking it anymore. Through non-tariff barriers, the European Union bans imports of most American poultry. You understand? They say, we want to send you our cars, we want to send you everything, but we're not going to take anything that you have. Australia bans, and they're wonderful people and wonderful everything, but they ban American beef, yet we imported $3 billion of Australian beef from them just last year alone. They won't take any of our beef. They don't want it because they don't want it to affect their farmers. And you know what? I don't blame them, but we're doing the same thing right now, starting about midnight tonight, I would say.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Dude, we're going.
And China charges American rice farmers an overquota, it's called, a tariff rate of 65%. South Korea charges 50%. Actually, they charge different, from 50% to 513%. In Japan, our friend charges us 700%, but that's because they don't want to sell the rice and other thing. Who can blame them?
You may have to get a part-time job.
Great job. You did.
We need crypto to go up now to pay for all. I need a part-time job.
50%. We got them down 50%. Once we got involved, they were going through the sky. The egg prices, they were going through the sky, and you did a fantastic job. Now we have lots of eggs, and they're much cheaper, down about 59% now. and they're going down further. We charge 2.8% for so many things that other countries are charging 200%, 300%, and 400% for. If imposing tariffs and protective barriers made nations poor, then every country on earth would be racing to eliminate these policies, and China would be the first on line. They run a very strong country, but they're not first in line, and the American people are paying a very big price. From 1789 to 1913, we were a tariff-backed nation, and the United States was proportionately the wealthiest it has ever been. So wealthy, in fact, that in the 1880s, they established a commission to decide what they were going to do with the vast sums of money they were collecting. We were collecting so much money so fast, we didn't know what to do
Come on,
with it.
something's
Isn't
got to
that a
break
nice
out. Just one
problem
fucking
to
thing
have?
has
What do
to
you
break
think, Marco?
out.
Good problem? Marco would love that problem. But
Gold's doing
we don't
fine.
have that problem
Bouncing
anymore,
around, but
we're
gold's
not
doing
gonna have it
okay,
very much
but
longer, I will tell you. But they collected so much money, they actually formed a commission to determine what they were going to do with the money, who they were going to give it to, and how much. Then in 1913, for reasons unknown to mankind, they established the income tax so that citizens, rather than foreign countries, would start paying the money necessary to run our government. Then in 1929, it all came to a very abrupt end with the Great Depression, and it would have never happened if they had stayed with the tariff policy. It would have been a much different story. They tried to bring back tariffs to save our country, but it was gone. It was gone. It was too late. Nothing could have been done. It took years and years to get out of that depression, far longer than even FDR had that office right over there for a long period of time. The ramp system, it's rather intricate, was built because of him, and every time you walk up, you think of him, and he did a great job in many ways, but it lasted long beyond his terms, as you know. But it's not too late any longer, and we're going to start being smart, and we're going to start being very wealthy again. We're going to be wealthy as a country because they've taken so much of our wealth away from us. We're not going to let that happen. We truly can be very wealthy. We can be so much wealthier than any country. It's not even believable, but we're getting smart. Nearly a century later, in the face of unrelenting economic warfare, the United States can no longer continue with a policy of unilateral economic surrender. We cannot pay the deficits of Canada, Mexico, and so many other countries. We used to do it. We can't do it anymore. We take care of countries all over the world. We pay for their military. We pay for everything they have to pay. And then when you want to cut back a little bit, they get upset that you're not taking care of them any longer. But we have to take care of our people, and we're going to take care of our people first. And I'm sorry to say that. And today we're standing up for the American worker, and we are finally putting America first. In Sleepy Joe Biden's last year in office, the United States hemorrhaged 100,000 manufacturing jobs, and the number was going through the roof at levels never seen before.
don't do
And our trade
this.
deficit
Don't
reached
do
a record $1.2 trillion, which is unheard of. Since the beginning of NAFTA, the worst trade deal ever made. It was a horror show. I was able to terminate it. They all said you'd never be able to get it out. We had to get approval from Congress to get it terminated. We had to live with that deal. It was the worst deal, worst trade deal ever made by far. But since the very beginning of NAFTA, our country lost 90,000 factories. Think of what that is, 90,000. Think about putting a map up and putting tax on it. You wouldn't have enough room. 90,000. I said, is that possible? We had it checked 4 different times, and it was actually somewhat higher than that. And 5 million manufacturing jobs were lost while racking up trade deficits of $19 trillion. That was the worst trade deal ever made. As a result of these gigantic losses, foreign nations now own $26 trillion more of American assets than the Americans own of their own foreign assets or other foreign assets. The United States can no longer produce enough antibiotics to treat our sick. We have a tremendous problem. We have to go to foreign countries to treat our sick. If anything ever happened from a war standpoint, we wouldn't be able to do it. We import virtually all of our computers, phones, televisions, and electronics. We used to dominate the field, and now we import it all from different countries. A single shipyard in China now produces more ships every year than all of the American shipyards combined. Think of that. And it was a business that we used to dominate. We used to dominate it totally. In short, chronic trade deficits are no longer merely an economic problem. They're a national emergency that threatens our security and our very way of life. It's a very great threat to our country. And for these reasons, starting tomorrow, the United States will implement reciprocal tariffs on other nations. It's been a long time since we even thought of that. We used to think about it a lot. We didn't think about it for many decades, and you see what's happened. For nations that treat us badly, we will calculate the combined rate of all their tariffs, non-monetary barriers, and other forms of cheating. And because we are being very kind, we're kind people, very kind. You're not so kind when you got ripped off.
Fuck.
My auto worker friends.
Oh, God, no. This is so bad if this falls through. I can't.
The unions that typically voted Democrat, they're not voting Democrat anymore because worker, whether union or non-worker, they're for the Republicans now. That's what happened. But we will charge them approximately half of what they are. And
guys, the reason we can't afford this to fall through right now, like I'm rooting for a big push up right now, because if it falls through, it's very hard to pump risk assets if things are going to cost 20 to 30% more across the board. Understand what I'm saying? Like this
have been charging us, so the tariffs will be not a full reciprocal. I could have done that, yes, but it would have been tough for a lot of countries. We didn't want to do that. I'd like to see the chart if you have it. Could you bring it up, Howard? This is our great Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick. So if you look at that, China, first row.
$1.94.
67%. That's
real quick. $1.94 for XRPs, the 200-day roughly. That's around the bottom of the support. If that falls out, I mean, you're staring $1.50 in the face. So, yeah, $1.94 would be where we could technically go down and still tap and hold. But I want to watch this with all of you.
Tariffs charged to the USA, including currency manipulation and trade barriers. So
thank you, Joseph, for the $5 donation. And yes, we do need to pump the fuck out.
Those with good eyes, with bad eyes. We didn't want to bring, it's very windy out here. We didn't want to bring out the big charts because it had no chance of standing. Fortunately, we came armed with a little smaller chart. So it's 67%, so we're going to be charging a discounted reciprocal tariff of 34%. I think.
Oh my God, 34 fucking.
We charge them less, so how can anybody be upset?
Oh my God.
They will be, because we never charge anybody anything, but now we're going to charge. European Union, they're very tough.
Guys, I just want to make a point. Remember the Temu and the Wish app and a lot of stuff on Amazon? They basically just bankrupted those two companies for the US. I'm just saying, like, that's how much more expensive. Look on the right side of the screen. That's how much more expensive it'll cost to buy products from those countries.
Very, very tough traders. You know, you think of European Union, very friendly. They rip us off. It's so sad to see. It's so pathetic. 39%, we're going to charge.
Ed, do you remember the whole reason we don't buy the stuff in this country? One, if we don't have it. Two, how expensive is the stuff we try to buy in our own country? Everybody forgets about that. You're not buying it from other countries for no reason. You're buying it from other countries because you can't afford to buy it from our country because it's too expensive, or we don't make it. Let's not bullshit ourselves here.
20%, so we're charging them essentially half. Vietnam, great negotiators, great people. They like me, I like them. The problem is they charge us 90%. We're going to charge them 46% tariff. Taiwan, where they took all of our computer chips.
I'm just saying, like, buy American. So if it was that easy, why aren't you doing it already? I'm just asking an honest question to the audience who keeps saying buy American. Why aren't you already? So if it was that easy, you think I wanted to buy my fucking Michigan championship hat from, let's see. You think I wanted this? Ready? My Michigan championship hat, for fuck's sake. You think they would have made it in the USA? It's Michigan after all, right? Fuck's this guy made at? Because I start going through everything. And it's not as easy as everybody makes it out to be. How's this piece of crap made? Oh, here, let me, sorry.
In semiconductors, we used to be the king, right?
Fucking
we
Vietnam.
everything. We had all of it. Now we have almost
My hat's made in Vietnam.
none of it, except the biggest company is coming in. We're gonna end up with almost 40%. Lee Zeldin's working to get their approvals. And it's an amazing company. Mr. Wei, of one of the great companies of the world, actually, they're coming in from Taiwan, and they're gonna build one of the biggest plants in the world, maybe the biggest for that. But 64%, we're gonna charge them 32%. Japan, very, very tough, great people. And again, I don't blame the people for doing it. I think they're very smart in doing it. I blame the people that sat right in that Oval Office, right over there, right behind the Resolute desk or whichever desk they chose. Japan, 46%. They would charge us 46% and much higher for certain items like cars, little items like cars. 46%, we're charging them 24%.
Oh my God.
India, very, very tough. Very, very tough.
Guys, I'm sorry. I said 20% across the board. This is way worse. Oh,
They're
fuck.
not treating us right. They charge us 52%.
How are we supposed to pay
We
for
charge
this?
them almost nothing for years and years and decades. And it was only 7 years
My
ago
hat.
when I came in.
Oh my God. Did you see it? My hat's from Vietnam. It would have cost me 46% more if my team wins the championship next year. That's what I mean. Like, this hat was already expensive. Don't you think I wanted to buy from the USA? I don't want to buy from Vietnam. I want my hat from America, but they don't offer it from America.
We started with China, Georgia. We took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China in tariffs. And they understood, honestly. President Xi understood. He said, look, I understand. And the other countries, and they all understand. We're going to have to go through a little tough love, maybe.
I'm reacting in the moment, my friend. I'm reacting with the facts I have in front of
Prime
me.
Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe. He was a fantastic man. He was unfortunately taken from us, assassination. But I went to him and I said, Shinzo, we have to do something. Trade is not fair. He said, I know that. And he was a great gentleman. He was a fantastic man, but he understood immediately what I was talking about. I said, Shinzo, we have to do something. He said, I know that. And we worked out a deal, and it would have been a much better deal, but frankly, there were many years left in the deal that was made previous to my getting there, but it was something. If you look at Switzerland, 61% to 31%. Indonesia, Malaysia, Cambodia. Oh, look at Cambodia, 97%. We're going to bring it down to 49. They made a fortune with the United States of America. United Kingdom, 10%, and we'll go 10%. So we'll do the same thing. South Africa, 60%, 30%, and they've got some bad things going on in South Africa. We're paying them billions of dollars, and we cut the funding because a lot of bad things are happening in South Africa. The fake news ought to be looking at it. They don't want to report it. Brazil, 10%, 10%. Bangladesh is
gold's doing
74%.
phenomenal.
So you see what's going on.
It's the safe play right now. That's really the safe fucking play.
Sri Lanka,
Mining stocks, gold and silver.
88%. So what
We're
we're
gonna
doing
love this
is we're
shit.
taking
We're gonna love it.
we could take the full 88%. Thanks a lot. He's doing a very good job. How's he doing? All right. I think you better take it with you. It's not going to last very long. He's going to put it. It's going to follow you down with the wind. I brought a hat just in case it got too windy. But would anybody like a hat? I'm not giving it to a cabinet. I'm giving it to the auto workers. Come on.
Well, hopefully it reverses.
Thank you, fellas. Yeah, that's it. That's it. They deserve it more than our cabinet. Our cabinet has plenty of hats. But you see the numbers. The numbers are so disproportionate. They're so unfair. At the same time, we will establish a minimum baseline tariff of 10%. You notice that on the chart. And that'll be on other countries to help rebuild our economy and to prevent cheating. So we're going to have a minimum of cheating, and we're going to be very severe on the people that at the gate that watch the tariffs and watch the product coming in, because there's been a lot of bad things happening at the gate. because the money is so enormous that you're talking about. There's never been probably anything like it in terms of the enormity, and there are a lot of bad things happen at the people that do the check-in, and they're looking at 10-year jail sentences if they do. But we're going to treat them so good, but if they cheat, the repercussions are going to be extremely strong. Foreign nations will finally be asked to pay for the privilege of access to our market, the biggest market in the world. We're right now the biggest market in the world. We had a great country 4 years ago in terms of the economics. We were doubling up on China. We were doing so well. Nobody was going to catch us, but so much of it slipped away over the last 4 years under Biden. I campaigned on this policy throughout last year, and today that promise was made, and it was also a promise, as you know, that was kept. Promises made, promises kept. To any company that objects to our common sense reciprocal tariffs, again, reciprocal, back and forth, back and forth. And I call this kind reciprocal. This is not full reciprocal. This is kind reciprocal. But what we do is we cut it in half. We charge them. My answer is very simple. If they complain, if you want your tariff rate to be zero, then you build your product right here in America, because there is no tariff if you build your plant, your product in America. And we've seen companies coming in like we've never seen before. Likewise to all of the foreign presidents, prime ministers, kings, queens, ambassadors, and everyone else who will soon be calling to ask for exemptions from these tariffs. I say, terminate your own tariffs, drop your barriers, don't manipulate your currencies. They manipulate their currencies like nobody can even believe, which is a bad, bad thing and very devastating to us. And start buying tens of billions of dollars of American goods. Tariffs give our country protection against those that would do us economic harm. And many people were looking to do us economic harm. Maybe not so obviously, but they were doing tremendous economic harm. But even more importantly, they will give us growth. These tariffs are going to give us growth like you haven't seen before, and it'll be something very special to watch. I am so looking forward, and Brian, it's going to happen even faster than you said. You know, you might say, but it's already started. It's already started. Work's already begun on plants all around the country, and you see that as before. These are big, rich companies. We have $61 billion started on a big plant going up. It's going to be announced over the next 2 days, and they already started work. Many of these the biggest companies in the world, they've committed to build. We're going to build, sir. And they came here to see me, and wanted to know if they could have a press conference. I do as many as I can. I'm pretty busy trying to stop Russia and Ukraine and the Middle East. We got to stop that. We got to stop the Houthis, which we're making tremendous. They like shooting ships down and out of the water, sinking ships. They get a kick out of it, but they're not getting such a kick out of it now, are they, Mr. Secretary? They're not getting such a kick out of that now. But here are just a short list of some of the companies that have already announced and committed to investment. And this is a company that built its factories and its plants in China. Apple is going to spend $500 billion. They never spent money like that here. They're going to build their plants here. SoftBank, OpenAI, and Oracle, great companies, are investing $500 billion almost immediately. NVIDIA, a hot company, is investing hundreds of billions of dollars. They just announced. TSMC, the biggest, most important company in the world of chips from Taiwan, with no investment from us, is investing $200 billion. And they said the reason was, number one, the election of November 5th, and number two, the tariffs. They don't want to pay the tariffs, and the way they're not paying it is to build their plant here. So we're going to go from almost no percentage. We used to have 100% of the chip.
What's a few hundred billion?
Taiwan,
He
almost
said
all
I'm
of
like
it's in
800.
Taiwan, a couple of other countries, but mostly in Taiwan. And
Oh man, I hope some of you
100%,
understand
we lost it
economics
because
and how
people
cool
in
this
that
is.
office that didn't do their job, they allowed it to be stolen from us. Johnson & Johnson, great company, $55 billion. Eli Lilly, $27 billion. Meta is investing $500
Oh God, you can't make this
Wow.
up. Oh, it hurts
Mac
sometimes.
is investing 20 billion, CMA, CGM, $20 billion, and then you have Merck, Clarios, Stellantis, General
Oh, thank you
Motors,
for
GE
investing in us.
Aerospace, Honda,
I've
Nissan,
only given you half my
Hyundai are
house.
all putting in billions and billions of dollars, and they're committed 100%. So. And we've never had, and this is after 2.5 months. This is after just a short.
This is for educational purposes, of course.
Came out with what everybody wanted to do. You know, I watched a gentleman today on television. He used to work with Lee Iacocca, a very respected automobile person, and he said, you know, because they're asking people, they try and get as many negative people as they can, but they can't find them too much. It's pretty hard to find in terms of what we're doing.
We really
especially
do
when
create
they see
our
all
own
this
world, don't
investment.
we?
They said, so tell me, what do you think of what Trump is doing from the automobile standpoint? He said, I can't believe it. Somebody is finally, he's an older guy, real pro, really top guy with Lee Iacocca. He said, I never thought I'd see the day when this would happen, where somebody had the courage to go and do what has to be done. This is transforming our nation. Our entire nation is going to be transformed, not only with the cars, but on every single other item that's built. We're going to become an industrial powerhouse. And he said
Oh,
that so
DGB,
beautifully
what
today.
happened?
In fact, I'm going to find out. I'm going to get a tape. And Bruce, I'm going to get that tape and I'm going to send it to you out in Long Island, and you're going to $1 billion of investments. And you wouldn't do that in years in this country over the last number of years. $6 trillion. And that's going to be much higher by the end of the year. And think of what $6 trillion is. You wouldn't have even a small percentage of that under this other system. We're going to be an entirely different country, and it's going to be fantastic for the workers. It's going to be fantastic for everyone. There will never have been a transformation.
Notice how there's no ads during this live? Yeah, I wouldn't want to watch ads either, so I didn't turn them. I made sure they were off. And I paid the fee so that there's no ads when I watch it.
Of a country like the transformation that's already happening in the United States of America. It's an incredible thing to watch, and it's incredible to meet with the top people that you read about, very wealthy people or people that are great managers and executives and presidents of big public companies, and to watch the enthusiasm they have now that they didn't have. They gave up on our country. They went to foreign countries and they built. Companies are pouring into our country at levels never seen before, with jobs and money to follow, and it's really beautiful. In the coming days, there will be complaints from the globalists and the outsourcers and special interests and the fake news. Always, the fake news will always complain. But never forget, every prediction our opponents made about trade for the last 30 years has been proven totally wrong. They were wrong about NAFTA. They were wrong about China. They were wrong about the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which would have been a disaster if I didn't terminate it. If I didn't terminate that, United Auto Workers, you would have had no jobs in this country. You would have had no jobs. It was all going to other countries. In my first term, they said tariffs would crash the economy. Instead, we built the greatest economy in the history of the world. And again, I have great respect for President Xi of China, great respect for China, but they were taking tremendous advantage of us, and I commend them for that. I say, hey, if you can get away with it, that's okay. But you know, they understand exactly what's happening, and they probably, most of them are saying it's about time they did something. But and they're going to fight. They're going to fight fair. Everyone's going to fight. You know, it's like I say to the leaders, look, you got to take care of your country, but we have to start taking care of our country now. We can't do what we've been doing for the last 50 years. From the day of my election, the stock market went up in my first term 88%, with NASDAQ going up 155%, more than any president has ever had in any term in office, by far. And I think we're going to blow that away. And maybe the numbers won't show, but I think they're going to show much better than even those numbers. But what you're going to see is you're going to see activity, that empty, dead sites, factories that are falling down. Those factories will be knocked down, and they're going to have brand new factories built in their place. They're not only talking about renovating, they're talking about brand new, the best anywhere in the world, the biggest anywhere in the world. I have a friend who builds car plants, and I said, I want to see the biggest and the best. He said, well, we have to go to Mexico. I said, no, I want to see it in the United States. He said, we're not building them in there. This is a year and a half ago during the campaign. He said, we're not building it. You'd have to go to Mexico. When I was starting to decide to run, and I went to #1 in the polls very rapidly, I want to say, let's say in the first hour, and then shortly thereafter, it looked like I was going to win, and the fake news was saying, "Oh no, don't do this." What they don't know is if I didn't win, they would have really been in trouble, because nobody wants to read them anyway. But I tell you what, when it looked like I was going to win, I announced that I was going to be doing exactly what we're talking about today. Great consistency, actually, because I've been talking about it for 40 years. But because I saw what was happening 40 years ago. If you look at my old speeches when I was young, very handsome, my old speeches, and that people would say, I'd be on a television show, I'd be talking about how we were being ripped off by these countries. I mean, nothing changes very much. The only thing that changed were the countries, but nothing really changes. But it's such an honor. It's such an honor to be finally able to do this. If you look at China, I took in hundreds of billions of dollars in my term. Hundreds of billions. They never paid 10 cents to any other president, and yet they paid hundreds of billions. So much so that Biden couldn't do anything. They wanted to try and terminate it because he had a very special relationship with China. You know what the relationship was? He had a special relationship. But the numbers were so big. The numbers were so big that they couldn't do it. So they did ease it up. They did things that they shouldn't have done. They made it a lot more comfortable for them, but they couldn't do it because the numbers were hundreds of billions of dollars, and I did that. And we were on our way to doing something.
I don't know if this is a sign of things to come, but there's one thing to keep prices the same, but this company who sends us stuff, they wanted to keep the prices the same. Look how small the fucking orange juice is this week. It was the same price, but look how small the orange juice is.
Like, incredible. And then we had a very bad election happen, a very bad election. A lot of bad things happened.
What the hell am I going to do with this?
When I said we're going to do it again, I said we have to make it too big to rig. And we made it too big to rig, and we won in records, and it was a monumental win. And it was such an honor to see so many of you, like Brian and your friends, here with us to celebrate, and to more importantly celebrate what we're doing, because that wouldn't be a full celebration if we didn't do this, because this will be an entirely different country in a short period of time. It'll be something the whole world will be talking about it. The critics made the very tired predictions earlier this year, but in February, core inflation dropped to the lowest rate in 4 years, and the price of eggs, as you know, just in a month and a half, we were there for 4 weeks. And the first week, I got blamed for eggs. I said, I just got here. They said eggs have gone up at like 250%, and you can't get eggs. And they were going crazy. And I said, I just got here. And then we got to work on eggs, and we got to work on everything. And our great Secretary of Agriculture, you did a fantastic job. Brooke Rollins, she did a fantastic job. And as I said before, the price of eggs dropped now 59%, and they're going down more, and the availability is fantastic. They were saying that for Easter, please don't use eggs. Could you use plastic eggs? I said, we don't want to do that. We want to, and you really came through. It's an amazing job. Thank you very much, Brooke. You did great. But likewise, an old-fashioned term that we use, groceries. I used it on the campaign. It's such an old-fashioned term, but a beautiful term, groceries. It sort of says a bag with different things in it. Groceries went through the roof. And I campaigned on that. I talked about the word groceries for a lot. And energy costs now are down. Groceries are down. Gasoline is way under $3. And people are beginning to be able to buy things and live again. We brought prices way down. We created 10,000 already in a few weeks, new manufacturing jobs. And it was that took place in 1 month. Numbers that they haven't seen in a long time. We had virtually no inflation under my term. We had virtually no inflation for 4 years, but after transitioning over to Sleepy Joe, it went from almost non-existent to the highest in the history of our country. We had the highest inflation in the history of our country, brought up by energy and bad spending and bad policy, and a lot of bad things happened. How about allowing millions and millions and millions of people to pour into our country with open borders, where it's so sad to see even now. And I see our great secretary of you have done. Stand up, please, Christy. Stand up. Christy Nome and Tom Homan. These people are doing a great job, but gotten them out in records. We have problems with judges that don't want them to go out. They want Tren de Aragua, and they want MS-13, the most vicious gangs ever. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Absolute killer gangs. They kill people. They don't even think about it. And we put them out, and we have judges now, radical left judges that they don't want them to go out. They want them to even be brought back. Let's bring them back. You've done a fantastic job, and please thank everybody. Homeland Security, thank everybody. Appreciate it. And we now have a border that's the best border that we've ever had, even better than it was my first term. My first term we did good, but this one we really specialized in. We've done really well. And we had records then. We had the best, safest border. 4 years ago, we had the best border there ever was. And now we have, you've actually matched it and done even better. And we're going to get it down the right way. And we want people, by the way, to come into our country, but we want them to come in through a legal process. We want them to come in legally. We need more people. We need people to run these plants and to help the auto workers and the Teamsters and the non-union people and everybody else. But we need people, and the farmers. And we're going to let people come in, but they want to come in. We want them to come in legally. They have to have the capability of loving our country, not people that hate our country. We don't want them in our country. And now we're going to pass the largest tax cuts in American history, and that's where we're relying on Mike and John Thune. And we will not cut Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid benefits, and the Democrats will, because if they got in, the entire economy would collapse. This country was heading for a collapse under the people that you saw. They were horrible. I think one of the reasons people like the job, I have my highest approval ratings because I think they're comparing me to the worst administration in the history of our country. So I appreciate that at least. But Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, and Senate Majority Leader, appreciate it, Mike. John Thune have been fantastic, by the way. But they've been working tirelessly on taking the next step to pass the plan for our one big, beautiful bill. I'd like to name it that if you can. One big, I made that statement about 6 months ago, and everybody calls it one big, beautiful bill. And it will be that. It'll have everything, the big tax cuts and every incentive there is. And it'll be fantastic. And by the way, for the cars, we're asking for an interest deduction on a loan. So if you build the car, only in America we do it, Brian. If the car's not built in America, you don't get the interest rate deduction. But if you build the car in America, if you buy a car, if it's built in America, then you get an interest rate deduction, tax deduction, and that's a big thing. That's going to be a big thing. I think that's going to pay for itself very quickly, that deduction. Never happened. We've never had anything like that before. Somebody said, where do you get the idea? Because it's so basic. You would think that would have happened a long time ago. It never did, and I'm very happy it didn't, because now I can say that was my idea. But we're going to get us closer to the debt extension. We have to get the debt extension passed, and I know you're going to be able to do that, Mike, and it's very important that you do that. And all of the other things that the Senate budget plan gives us, along with working, because I know they're working together, John and Mike, and the two bills are going very well together. We need to get our shared priorities done, including certain permanent tax cuts. We want the tax cuts to be permanent, spending cuts, energy and historic investments in defense, border, and so much more. We're covering everything. These will be phenomenal. There'll be no bill like this going to straighten. One bill is going to straighten out our country for many, many years to come. And we said, let's just do it and let's get it done. And some guys will love it, and some guys will like it a little bit less because they're not getting what they were exactly looking for, but they're getting a lot. They'll never, if we get this done, it'll be the most incredible bill ever passed in the history of our Congress and Senate and congressmen, the senators and the congressmen, many of whom are here today, will be very proud of themselves. I really believe that it's going to set us on a whole new prosperous path. We're going to cut spending and right-size the budget back to where it should be. We're going to do that very strongly. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, John. Thank you. Oh, look at all of our senators over there. Oh boy, that's a nice group of people. But I won't like them so much if they don't get this bill done. That's a great group, and Congressman, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Tremendous people. The Senate plan is my complete and total support, and the House plan likewise is very similar. They're moving along pretty much at the same clip, and as soon as you're ready, you'll show it to me, and I'm sure it'll have my support. Every Republican congressman and senator must unify. We have to unify. We can't be separated. We have to get it done. We have to get absolutely everything we can, and we have to take care of the American people. That's the only thing that matters. We have to take care of the American people first. We need to pass this bill immediately, get it done, including debt extension. From this day on, we're not going to let anyone tell us that American workers and families cannot have the future that they deserve. We're going to produce the cars and ships, chips, airplanes, minerals, and medicines that we need right here in America. The pharmaceutical companies are going to become roaring back. They're coming roaring back. They're all coming back to our country, because if they don't, they got a big tax to pay. And if they do, I'll be very happy, and you're going to be very happy, and you're going to be very safe. We're going to build our future with American hands, with American heart, American steel, and we're going to build it with American
Bitcoin
pride.
still
like we
gains
used
after
to.
all of this.
We're approaching our 100th day as president,
At least
and
it's
have
starting
been
to turn
given
down a
credit
little
by
bit.
a lot of people,
Stop
actually.
fucking telling me.
Even some of the fake news, can you believe it? Which in this case hopefully isn't fake. For having done more in that time than any other administration in the history of our country in the first 100 days. I think we've had an amazing, in terms of what we've done, what we've gotten accomplished. I'd like to see if we can get that war ended and another war from not starting in the Middle East. We have to get Russia, they're losing 2,000 on average, 2,500 people a day, young people, soldiers, Russian, think of that, 2,500 through some days, but on average, probably over about a 1 week period, it's 2,712, they say. They're losing those soldiers, they're dying, they're being decimated, and they're not from our country, but they're from other countries, but they're human beings. They're from Russia, they're from Ukraine in this period, most of them. And we're going to get it stopped. It's a senseless war that would have never happened if I was president, and it shouldn't be allowed to go on. And I think we're being given good cooperation by Russia and by Ukraine, but we have to get it stopped. It's humanity. It's humanity. It's a terrible thing. This will be a very big moment. I think you're going to remember today. It's going to be a free nation that we're dealing with. We're going to have a very free and beautiful nation. It's going to be Liberation Day in America, and it's going to be a day that hopefully you're going to look back in years to come and you're going to say, you know, he was right. This has turned out to be one of the most important days in the history of our country. God bless you and God bless America. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.
So there you have it, President.
Okay, so, you know, I guess the best way to approach it is, well, we'll spend a few minutes here. We're not just going to leave right now just because it's been an hour. We'll go over this. So it wasn't just a flat 20% tariff. You seen a board, and there was a lot of different, it ranged from 10% at the bottom, reciprocal, as he said, all the way up to, I think one of them was like 60 something percent. So all it equates to is this. If you get your stuff from that country, that's how much more it's going to cost. I seen a lot of chat saying, you know, well, just buy from America. If the products were A, available in America, and B, worth of shit, I would buy them from America. There's no way, because I don't need to buy secondhand stuff at this point in my life. I would buy from America because it was well built. The reason I don't buy it from America is because every time I buy, if it's a product I don't buy now from America, it's shit. It's burned me 100 times the past, and it's like, well, at this fucking point, you know, and then you try something else and you're like, whoa, Like, this is better than what I was using. And in some cases, it's already more expensive. That's what they're not. Like, I can show you 100 cases of I buy something that's not from America and it's expensive already, but I have no option because it's not from, I can't buy it. You think I would buy my hat from fucking Vietnam if I could buy it from America? I was the dumbest person on the planet when I was younger, when it came to where stuff was made. I never looked at the fucking label. I didn't care because I just assumed I'm buying it in America. When I was a kid, it's from America. Like, I'm buying it from a grocery store from Myers, so some asshole in America made it. Well, sure was I shocked when I actually started going into business and starting to figure out like where stuff was coming from. And at some point in high school, in business computers or whatever, I can't remember what it was. But man, was I floored when I'm like, wait a minute. Even my car, my, at the time, GM car, the only one I had, not a Dodge. But anyhow, the GM, like 25% of it was made in America. But the funny part was it was assembled in America. Like, but the part that, like the brakes were not from America. They were probably from Mexico. The calipers came from fucking Canada. You know, the tire pressure gauge came from fucking China. You know, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, what the hell? It was the same thing with everything. My toilet paper sold in a store in America, but came from fucking Indonesia. So it's a, it's a funny thing. So where are we at with crypto? That's my point. Like, there's no, the products are shit in America. The cars are horrible. I live in Michigan. I know I'm the capital of the car world, right? It all started here, right? Made in America, right here in the backyard of my hometown where I literally live, like within a not too far of a walk from where it all started. So, I can tell you right now, like, I wouldn't be driving a friggin' Kia if the cars in America were that freaking good. I needed something that was not going to die. Well, it doesn't even matter. I could have bought anything with how many miles we drive. The point is that the quality is just not there. So I would be more than happy to buy American. I go to the farmer's market. You guys know this every single week. Now that it's back open, I'll be able to go again now that the fruit's starting to come back in some capacity. But I like to buy the real stuff, the stuff that's made in my backyard instead of coming from over the seas. I do. It's just not there. It's just not there. Even my tablet, my beautiful Samsung tablet, when it comes here, it's like, I don't even know where it was made. All of it. It's my TV, my shoes. I'm like, you'd be like, oh, well, he's probably got shit shoes. These are Columbia shoes. Like, they're not shitty shoes, but they're probably made in, you know, I don't know, the United Arab Emirates or something. No, who am I kidding? That'd be too expensive. We'd freaking go to like, I don't know, Malaysia, the Asian countries. No knock against you guys. It's just for some reason, a lot of the stuff is supposedly good quality. Like, I have a North Face jacket that said North Face because the buttons were, the thing wasn't embroidered. So I get it. I get it. But yeah, let's get into the charts. I digress. It's just there's just a point to be made. Like, it's going to be interesting for us in the States. Like, I'll be interested, like, what happens here in the next few weeks. I think some of you are interested. Cheers for streaming this time. Oh, you're welcome, Syrian, and thank you for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XP Predictor and the $4.99 donation. That was incredibly generous. And Joseph, thank you so much for the $5 donation. Wow, really? And being in Tom's Army for 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. That's incredibly generous. Thank you so much. 40-year car loan incoming. You make a fair point about quality. Though that was much true in the 70s and 80s, and now lots of reports about closing quality. Yeah. I don't care, honestly. Where's it at? John, that's a fair point about the reports, but I don't believe the reports. I buy the products. So, like, the only report I need is my own personal experience. And I'm just telling you right now, I wasn't joking when Bitcoin was $3,800 higher just a few minutes ago. We can't afford for this to come through. Like, I don't know if you guys understand. Risk assets doesn't work that way. Especially when they're back in a bear market setting. I'm serious. Like, they don't work that way. So, because you have to find money in retail, and right now there's two bad things right now. Now retail's scared. Some of them. The ones who understand are pulling funds out of risk, putting it into safe havens, and you know where it's at already. Gold, silver, friggin' mining stocks, because that's the cheapest way to get the gold and silver out of the ground right now because they're undervalued, especially if they're paying dividends and they're seasoned veterans. You know, even the emerging markets. And, there's the benefit to the Roth IRA is more beneficial long-term than the traditional IRA, but I still like to do the traditional because you can buy into, like, emerging markets, the risky ones, and if you're not pulling a profit, who really gives a fuck? Yeah, I'll collect my dividend, and, I get to write off that $7,000 a year. Once you're over, I think, 50, you get to write off 8, but I'm not over 50 yet, so I just feel like there's ways that we can manipulate this a little bit. But this is just getting brutal. I'm trying to stall for it to go back up. But I don't know. I wasn't convinced we were pumping going into it. Like, I seen a lot of people that really expected, something majestic to happen here. And the audience, I see a lot of people that are saying, like, oh, I think it's... But the point is like, man, I really don't want to see it. My gut's telling me this is what's going to end up happening. I just don't want to... I don't want to go back here. Oh, it was too much fun for the last few months. Oh, God. How much fun was it? Can we think about the good times? Good times. And we're still in good times because we're still over $2. Oh, we're sinking fast, though. We're still over $2. And remember, the $1.94 is the 200-day. Oh, Christ. Bitcoin is starting to drop pretty hard here now. Don't forget to give thanks to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Yeah, sure, yeah, you get my point. Stay humble, show humility. And I know in this audience, more than one of us on a constant basis thinks of our Lord and Savior, so God becomes present. So at least we're being guided. Even if it's through a nincompoop like me. At least I was given the understanding. Through a lot of stupidity and trial and error. But, through trial and error comes expertise later on. Basically been smacked by everything you can think of. So, if a variable doesn't seem right, that's where I get out of the way. And that's what happened here. The variable just doesn't seem right. Like, why would Ethereum be coming down? And why would Bitcoin dominance be going up? Despite Bitcoin coming down, 23% at this point. So, but now I'm waiting for some majestic moment to where all of a sudden it's like, okay, we beat them up. And I'm trying to think of where that point is. And the $1.50 FVG just seems so perfect on XRP. That 64K just seems majestic. And I'll tell you a second reason why. Michael Saylor's trying to buy as much as he can. And he can give you the illusion of whatever he wants. I've not met a person that would want to pay more if they know they're going to be buying more in the short term. So I have a suspicion because his liquidation price where he's still up over water is around 64K. So even if it came down there for a second, he's fine. And then he'll just buy a bunch more and say, oh my God, we're at 64. And then it's just going to pile out. And that's what I think the best scenario would be. So many people would be like, fuck this pile of shit. Screw XRP, $1.50. Oh my God, I'm done. And it would just, that's what we want. When I say blood in the waters, this isn't it. I don't see people jumping overboard yet. I see people wanting to jump overboard, but they see the shark swimming around in a circle, so they're like, ooh, the risk reward, I can stay in the boat. Well, soon, when they go crazy from being in the sun for too long and they start overthinking it, they jump out of the boat after it's already gone down a significant portion. The sharks eat them because what's happening? Well, it's been so long, they're hungry. The price has come down so far and it's been so red that it's time to turn it green. So now we're just going to eat what you just threw in the water, and then it's going to seemingly be like, what the hell? How is it that we came all the way down here? I'm down 40%, 50%, 70%. And now the market turns around on me like, what the hell is going on? Well, it's because we thought the whole time, we acted at the wrong time, and then the response, we were too afraid to buy it on the way back. That's what ends up happening. And like, I'd rather be way up in profit and watch the market go through volatility and let it tell me I'm wrong than sit there and be afraid to take profit so that the market can go up. If you've done what you've done and you're satisfied, You don't have to, I've never heard of somebody who went broke by having profit time over time. Time in market compared to timing market. How much money can I make long holding this compared to how much more can I make if the cycle seems like it needs to go somewhere else? So is it worth more holding or buying back later? And now we're running out of time to make that decision. You know, you're running out of time if that's the decision you're waiting to make. That decision should have already been made on a lot of this a long time ago. It's also why I keep saying this reminds me of 21 when everybody was kept saying they're buying the dip, but it in fact wasn't a dip and we're buying a falling knife because we haven't found where we're going. I think XRP though has a real strong chance of holding that $1.50 level. Just because if we had a quick draw, and I'm telling you, I am begging the market to do this for 10 different reasons and 12 different ones that you can't even understand. If we went to $1.50 in Bitcoin with the 64K, it would have the ultimate buying opportunity for not just Michael Saylor, but the countries that are talking about doing all this bullshit. And just let it have the illusion that this is going to happen. That would also give XRP at $1.50 them to finally come out and say, well, the injunction's not there anymore. Then it'll give the illusion of a big pump from $1.50 because of that. But they can sell to the institutions for a cheaper price, and the retail is none the wiser. It's beautiful. It's a zero-sum game, and this would be affecting, we would be too dumb to even know what's going on, you know, and then, you know, and I'm a human being, so I'm not on the end. I'm not in the know, you know. So this is all conjecture and bullshit on so many fronts. I'm not a financial advisor, but my line of thinking and what I see and what I pay attention to and my understanding of economics has definitely steered us in the right direction since 21. And it's, I don't know how to explain it if you haven't been here. $10 donation in Canadian pesos. How generous of you, Cornstar. Thank you so much for that. Appreciate that. I can't believe that there's been like 5 donations this live. That's insane. George had a $1.99 donation as well. Thank you, George, and been in Tom's Army 6+ months with the XP Predictor. Beautiful, beautiful indeed. You've got 3-1 on Duke at 1,700. I'll buy that. Oh, that's beautiful. You know, I didn't think I wanted Duke to win it all, but, you know, seeing that Michigan got eliminated. As much as I want to go with you on that bet, I do have one person that I like in this audience too. That their team is still in this, and it's not just because they want to win money. And they beat my Michigan Wolverines, and the guy hasn't won a title yet, and it would be Bruce Pearl at Auburn. So I wouldn't mind that. I wanted Rick Barnes to win it if we didn't, but he laid an egg, so he couldn't win. I didn't want Izzo to win, God no. I didn't want to see him win a second one. Never hear the end of it. But anyhow, I mean, with XRP, I think we all know the bottom line here. We need to hold this level. And right now, we just need to reverse. Like, I can't stress it enough. And the reason why is because you can't give this back. Set up, set up, set up. Unless it's coming down here to reset up. But it's too far. At a certain point, we're just gonna have to show something, but we don't have much volume at all. I mean, it's basically like the crypto big buyers they just took a hiatus. And it's like I said, it's almost like we're funding the campaign contributions from both sides. Retail is. So basically now we have to wait and pray and see if it can hold this $1.94. And it's pretty convenient how it's lining up right now. If we did have a drop, because that's not a huge drop from here. But see how the 200 days lining up with that? And you see how we have a bearish reversal, it looks like right now. So we'll see if there's still a couple hours left. We'll see if it continues to follow through. If it follows through and we get under 2066, not a good sign. Also, not a good sign how far down this is pulled. I know a lot of you understand technicals. That is not a great sign here on this candle right now. Like, we need to do some work here in so many ways. And the longer this takes, the farther we continue to cross down in the daily. Now we've bona fide come through that 100-day now. The 20-day. The 4-hourly, I mean, again, this is not great. The positioning of this is not good news. And right now, this would be engulfing to the downside, which would be horrendous. And that bear flag, which I fear that's what it actually is. I mean, I have the target on another one. Let's just do it in real time. And since I can't see the comments, I don't know how mad people are, so I'm just going to talk. There's something to be said about not being able to see what everybody says. Because then I won't stop. I'll just keep talking and burying myself a bigger grave. $1.70. I mean, that's a pretty fair fucking, excuse my friends, that's a pretty fair drop. Right? That's a pretty fair drop. That would be a pretty fair drop. Let's see. Because well, maybe I could do it up a little bit higher. I suppose I could make it well, maybe not. Because if I'm being honest, I think it's right in that spot. I think I did it there for a reason in my head. Ooh, I actually would have to be lower. Oops. No, because I could do it like that. Oh, shit, that would make it even lower. Certainly don't want to do it like that. I think you guys get the picture. I think we get the picture. It's not look like it like that. Go to the other chart. So what happens if it falls through? Ooh, that's the broadening wedge. Like we're guys, let's go to the other chart. Okay, they all can't be that bad. Oh yeah, we haven't even finished that drop. It is that bad. I mean, what are we gonna do? We'll just watch this. You know what this feels like right now? And I don't know because I've never been at war, but what I would seemingly think it would feel like is if somebody pulled like a, what am I trying to say here in the proper context? Somebody has a grenade and they go, and like they're just holding it and the other people are watching them and they're like, uh-oh. Like, uh-oh. What's coming next? Nothing good can come of this. That's how it feels right now watching the market. Like somebody pulled the pin in the grenade and we're just waiting for that moment when all of a sudden, and there would be a lot of blood in the water. Oh, there would. And DGB is the best. I swear at playing with the hold heartstrings. I thought it was going to lead the way for a second. And then I looked at the rest of the market and I'm like, oh man, come on. It's never good when only one thing is trying to lead everything. Because at the end of the day, all I really need to look at is the Bitcoin dominance. And like through it all today, somehow, some way, even with Bitcoin being down, it's still going to end. If it ended right now, that's an extremely bullish daily candle. The weekly, I mean, that's a very strong looking weekly for the first half of the week so far. So the monthly, it's not a bad looking monthly because it's completely engulfed and made a new high from last month, which is not a bad thing. Which means that we're probably coming up here to 64.4%. And I don't think that necessarily means because the market's going up like everybody would think. I think that just means Bitcoin's not going to fall as fast as altcoins, which is mind-fucking-boggling. But then when you look at it again today, XRP down 2.4%, Bitcoin up down 0.94%. Ethereum down 2.1%, Algo down 2.5%, IOTA down 3.3%. We'll go for our winner. Oh, we're losing ground. DGB up 2.77%. But then you go to XDC down 3.4%, XLM down 2.06%, ZIL down 2.6%. V-Chain 3.7% down. H-bar down 1.1%, gave it all back. Then you look at the rest and you're like, well, what the? MXC down 7.2%. Theta down 3.2%. Theta, I am begging Theta. Like, you guys have no idea how much I am begging Theta to fall out. Because I think what could be happening here, and it's, please don't get mad at me. But I've been pushing this message now. I think what could be happening is we're going for that catastrophic drop where we very well might be wiping out some of these shitoki shit shows. You know, I really do. And like XRP got propped up. So at least it won't drop as far as it could have. And, you know, with some of the stuff we need to talk about later on in a later date, once I can put together something nicely with the missing transactions, which verifies to me likely that Ripple and XRP, Ripple, and Bitcoin is all dominated and controlled by the same entity and or person, which I think is an entity, which I believe is the U.S. government. And I think it's becoming more conclusive that that's probably the case. So something big is coming, but something bigger has to happen first. Something bigger has to happen first. I didn't know how. I didn't know why. I didn't know the reason behind it because I didn't know what it was actually going to be. But they're using these tariffs as a damn good shield. And they're going to make it every step of the way. And think about it. If crypto, the golden child of Trump when he was coming in, and the markets as a whole end up falling right now as the tariffs are announced, short term, not long term, think of the illusion it's going to put. Now, all these people that are going to start to change their opinion. And then all of a sudden, once we hit that level, and I've already said the level I think many times where it's at, I think we could start talking about it at 64K, definitely. And the reason why I think that's so important with Bitcoin is that's the back test of a breakout of a cup and handle. We never back tested the handle. Every number I have out there is very significant. It's just I didn't want to have all the freaking drawings on there everywhere. You know, and I always have so much crap on here. But that's how we knew, man, that today is nothing more so far, this is not great. In the positioning of the weekly, the last two weeklies are not good weekly candles. You might get the illusion that because it's staying up here, but this looks like it's waiting for a further drop. And we don't want to keep seeing that. I don't want to keep seeing this every day. To where that death cross is now going to be even further confirmed. Because if we hold here, now we're below the 20 and the 200. After having a move up during the day to almost 89,000, 88,540. And now if it closes here, it's closing below the 20 and 200. And we've already had a dot. These are how you confirm these numbers. This is the last thing we want. I would have rather it not went way up there and come back down. I would have rather just sat here all day. Because now it's building bearish momentum. Like that's hopefully like, I don't know. We'll just have to wait this out. But I'm going to get going soon. You know, I want to know what everybody thinks, though. I would love to know what everybody thinks. I'm not trying to be like irrational and be like, oh my God, he's overly emotional. It's just, I'm telling you right now, we're at a big inflection point. Maybe the biggest one we're going to have in 25. Because this will tell us short term, if we're going down, what we need to do. Oh, it's going to be interesting. Oh, yeah, the total 2's bleeding pretty fast, too. I mean, it's down 1.4%, or the total 3, I should say. Down 1.3%. And that's the altcoins. And that's a bearish candle. And we've already had a death cross here in the daily. So, like, this is getting worse by the minute. We even came back up here and got another rejection at this resistance point. It's incredible at this point. Like I said, we could maneuver this to where it actually lines up just like that, how it should. It still didn't quite touch it, but it at least gives you the proper perspective here. So yeah, I mean it's this is getting a little scary if it does pull down here because we've already got a bona fide topping reversal, and we already know that we formed a right shoulder, and we're just waiting to form the right arm to pull down. The right shoulder being formed is not the end of the world, but it's telling you that if you pull the right arm, it is over. And this is the total right now. And this is, I mean, when you look at that, that is a bona fide. I mean, guys, is this anything different than I talked about in late December, early January about, and what I've talked about in the past when this sets up? I said, take the elevator up, take the stairs down. And I drew it out in December and I said, what if that's what's happening? And remember, when I sold a whole bunch, not because I wanted to, because the market said, oh, the shoe salesman now is telling me that it's good to buy crypto and that this is what I need to do. No offense to the shoe salesman, the stock, you know, the person in the stock room, the bank teller, anybody in a position like that. Honest day's work. But to be honest with you, you wouldn't be in that position if you could understand the markets like you were claiming in that moment, like it's a can't miss. Once it's a can't miss to the general public, I know in my heart that I have to take money and profit, because the only real time to get out is when retail is going nuts and buying after the pump's already happened. So you got to get out of the pump when retail still wants to put money in. Otherwise, you'll find out if you're selling on a falling knife, even though the price says one thing, there's a lot of scenarios, even with the exchanges that don't have a high fee, there won't be orders being sold as high as you want to sell it on that particular exchange. And it's not because of liquidity or not. It's just people aren't willing to get rid of it at certain prices, or they want to buy it because of how fast the market's dropping and the uncertainty. They're not willing to buy it where you want to sell it, even on a limit order. So I've run into that scenario many times in my trading career. And I'm like, well, what the? Well, you only get what people are willing to pay. And you find out hard sometimes when no one's willing to pay at the same time for one reason or another on a certain asset, token, commodity, mining stock, whatever the case may be. So I think we must go down and live with it. I think it's baked in here. We came up much too fast. There's no doubt about that. I just want to make sure if we do come down that we can survive it. So I'll keep us updated. I'm XRP Future Millionaire. I'm going to get going. I want to make sure everything's going good in the house. We've had some violent storms here, and it was pouring when I first started this. I really thought my TV and stuff was going to go out. So I just want to make sure everything's good outside. It was pretty bad out there. So thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate all of you. I'm XRP Future Millionaire. I'll catch you guys later. I'm